So I just finished up the video for the rockers. Cue the picture of them right here. If you haven't seen that video, you can click on this above, or I'll put it in the link in the first comment here. But I'd like to do a little table for it, and I've got the nicest looking bottom or top here from the barrels here. So I'm going to glue these together. These come loose, but it's a nice tongue and groove that holds them together. So I'll glue those up, and that'll be easy for the top. And I was thinking of different ways to make the legs, and I have all of these pieces of scraps from making the rockers, and I hate to throw things away. So what I thought would be kind of cool is to make a ring of these around like this. So I'll put these around and even keep, make it, I think I'll do it kind of like a random chaotic sort for those of you that like things neat and such. But as you can see, I could do this, but there's going to be gaps in here. So what I need to do is to reshape the bevel on all of these. So these come with a bevel on here. Okay, so that is not a 90-degree angle on there, nor should it be, because it was a barrel, so it needed to be at an angle. It needed to be at an angle. So I need to change those angles, and I've kind of come up with a way to do that. So what I have here, I have two lines coming from a point, and I want the circle to be 18 inches in diameter to the outside edge. So this is 9 inches, half of that. So this is the radius. And so what I can do is once I square up these, once I square this up here, which takes some doing on the, to cut that, I can place these here, and I put the board down, the stave down, and I was able to make a mark according to where it intersected on that line there. And I also put a mark on the other side as well. And then I took my square and drew a line with my pencil. So I had a line on both sides that I could go to. Then I took it over to my vise, put it in there, and I grabbed my hand plane. Seemed like any other way I figured out how to do this was going to be more difficult. So I just thought I'd try with a hand plane. This actually worked pretty well. I'm not an expert on using a hand plane. I don't use it very much, but this worked pretty well. It was a nice sharp blade, and I was able to cut through that and I bring it down to those lines. I'm narrating this part because I had some trouble with audio. So then I would touch it up with the sander as well. I didn't always use the sander. Sometimes I did, but after I did about 6 or 7 of these, I started to kind of get into a rhythm, and I was amazed by how accurate and how good I could get the planer to do the job, and it surprised me. So I think I'm going to have to use the plane a lot more in my work. I always tried to avoid it. I think I was scared of it, but yeah, it was working. Now I have to be careful. Even on this video, I can see that I was kind of rounding off the front of that because I was having the front end of that kind of dive down as it went across, but I got better at that as I went. And I only needed the first like 1.5 inches or so to meet, because that's where I was gluing. I wasn't worried about having it go all the way up the stave. I was only having it, only gluing up the first 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of each side. And then I would use my square to make sure that it was going up and down. And so just using the square, using the plane, and just doing that over and over again. Now here I had the idea that I was going to use 3 of these staves. I cut these at I think around 28 inches or so. And I am going to treat those the same way as those small ones. And so I was trying to figure out how I was going to use them, because as you can see here, you can't see the very tops of those or the bottoms as it would be in use. They would be too close together and it'd be very tippy. So I took these band clamps and I tightened it up so that everything was snug, and I wanted to see how well each of my joints looked. And they actually turned out really nice. I didn't have to go back and redo any. And it was holding really nice here, and I was looking, you can even see here, the joints all look pretty good. There's some irregularities, but the staves are about an inch thick. But here I'm showing you the legs. I just ended up tilting them out so that they would stand more on the edge than in the middle. And I was happy with the way they looked, and I thought this was a simpler way to deal with the issue. And I was using epoxy resin to glue these together. I happen to have some from Total Boat. They don't sponsor me, but I just that's what I had lying around. So I mixed up some, and then I loosened up the clamp just a little bit, because I wanted to be able to take those staves out so that I could put some glue on them. And then I started. I started with one of the legs, just so I kind of knew where I was starting and ending. And I just used a little chip brush to paint on a layer of that epoxy. I didn't feel I needed a thick layer of that. I just needed some on each side. And then I placed it back in. You can see I had a block on that as well that I put in there to help it stand up without that tension of the clamp on there. I needed that. And then I just went around and glued up each piece individually on both sides and put them in place. Really enjoyed the process of this. I was surprised at how quickly it went, and I really didn't have too many problems. I was afraid those legs were going to fall down on me as I was working on them, but they stayed upright. And here I am coming up back to the start. So this is the last piece. And as you can see, then I had to kind of push things around to get it to fit in, but it wasn't too bad. Yeah, that piece kind of fell out of the way, but it got back in place quite nicely. So then I had to lift up that band clamp in order for it to do its job. I didn't want it just sitting on the ground. I wanted that a little bit up, and then went ahead and tightened that. Kind of snuck up on the tightness on it. I just kind of tightened it till it got snug, and then I went around and moved pieces as I needed them. And then here you can see this is where I'm angling back that leg compared to where the other ones are going basically straight up and down. The leg pieces are splaying out because they've got that curve on them, and I needed it for those to sit more on the outer edge. So there I am, just pointing that out in there. And then I had plenty of glue left over. I was just going to use wood glue on the top, but I had plenty of epoxy resin left over, so I used that to glue up the top as well. And I believe this piece was actually one of the bottoms. I say that because the wood didn't look weathered at all, so I think it was just sitting on the bottom, and it really looks nice. It's got some nice character in it, and so then I just put that together. So the video making gods were not with me. My DSLR camera just stopped working. I can't take video. I can take pictures on it, but I can't take video. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. It couldn't be all the dust and the epoxy resin that I've got on it. That I'm sure it has nothing to do with it. And then the GoPro that I'm using right now, I had apparently an SD card that was corrupt because all the videos I took are no good. Lost all the video of me finishing this table. Oh well. So here's the table. I had to sand the sides of it and the top really well. I attached the top to the base using these figure 8 screws, or washers I should say. So as this expands this way, because the boards are running in this direction, so it's going to expand across the way with humidity changes. So these will move with those as it does that. So I'm still waiting for my oil to show up that I've ordered, that I'm going to use to finish both the chairs and the table. The oil that I ordered has some things in it to help with UV protection, so I'm going to give it a try, knowing that I'm going to have to reapply it every year. But this looks like a little bit better stuff than just stuff I can buy off the shelf by me. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the support. I gotta go figure out some camera issues.